Anthony, thanks so much for sitting down with me here at the 2017 World Seed Congress.
Oh, thanks.
You are the man behind Plant Breeders Without Borders, which kind of got kicked off the ground about 3 years ago, as I understand. Tell me a little bit about what you've been up to the last 3 years and where we are today.
Well, I've just come back from a project in Indonesia. So it was our second pilot project for Plant Breeders Without Borders. Our original pilot project was in Ethiopia. So I'll just talk a little bit about the project that we did in Indonesia. We looked at what's called an underutilized species. So in normal terms, we call that a species where there isn't much breeding work that's been done on them for development. And we were able to find a partner in Indonesia called Bogor University that was able to help us with the contacts that we made within the country and the training that we did. And Bayer come along as a sponsor for that project initially there in Indonesia. So the concept was to go there and to form what we call a participatory plant breeding model, where farmers came and we actually taught the farmers how to do the plant breeding, and in combination with the university, with their students as well, they helped us deliver that training to the farmers in their local language. And there was a great bridging the gap between the scientists who developed the varieties through to the farmers who are the end users in those types of products. So in the last 3 years, we've got some pilot projects started. And I've just can confirm that after discussions in Germany with Bayer, they're interested in getting behind the whole idea as a sponsor.
That's awesome. Tell me a little bit about the underutilized species that you are working with in Indonesia and what the potential implication is in terms of meeting dietary and nutritional needs.
So underutilized crops have very minimal amount of breeding work that's done on them, and we were lucky enough to come across Bambara groundnut that in Indonesia, in the locations that we went to, they only had land races and they were looking to develop their own varieties. So Bambara groundnut is a very important species, but there's very little breeding work that's been done in it. So it is has a high level of protein. It's about at 18%, and that's really important for the human diet. So if for people that are malnourished or not getting, especially young children that aren't getting enough protein in their diet, Bambara groundnut really fits in well there as a nutritional food for them. So not only is it nutritional from a human health aspect, but it's also nutritional for the soil, because it's able to fix nitrogen into the soil, and then it's a great companion crop for other species to share that nitrogen, so that farmers don't need to apply artificial fertilizers as much to the plants, to their crops that they're growing after the Bambara groundnut.
Mm-hmm. And so Plant Breeders Without Borders, like we said earlier, has been kind of getting its legs under it for the past 3 years,
Yeah.
And you've got pilot projects. What's that next step, and what are you wanting people to do? How can they get involved?
Well, it's great that I can come to you now and say that the idea is underway now, that we've got a tick to head forward with it. So now I'm really out there looking for a call to arms of all people involved in the development of plant breeding to come forward and see if they can volunteer. So if they go to our website, Plant Breeders Without Borders, they can actually register as a volunteer. Now, a lot of people say, well, what do I do as a volunteer? How do I get involved? Plant Breeders Without Borders is actually about knowledge transfer. So it's not about developing the end variety, because we know as plant breeders that takes a long time to do. But it's about transferring the knowledge that we have as plant breeders onto the people that are local on the ground, that then they become responsible for the project and that it carries on and is sustainable. And it's also about young people as well, because at the moment we're having a very much a decrease in the young people that want to study plant breeding. And for example, in Australia, where I come from as a plant breeder, there's a third of the plant breeders there was 20 years ago. So we've seen a remarkable decrease in the amount of plant breeders. So to be able to encourage young people to be plant breeders, we're wanting young people to get involved in the projects, and then they can be mentored by senior plant breeders who have a lot of knowledge and that to pass on to not only Western students, but also, as we had in Indonesia, a lot of young students from Indonesia that were wanting to learn about and become passionate about plant breeding like I am.
Let's talk a little bit about plant breeding, because there's a lot of opportunities there for young people, and maybe you've had made a career out of plant breeding, and you've started this venture, which is a wonderful opportunity and a way to give back. What would you tell young people?
The future in plant breeding is really important, because we have to increase our food production for the population that's going to reach 9 billion in 2050. We have to increase it by 70% of our current food production levels. So plant breeders are probably in the front line of being able to do this in our war against malnutrition and hunger out there. So for plant breeders, in the past, people and in the future, they've thought about plant breeders as just being something that's done in a laboratory, but there's a lot of work that has to be done out there in the real world, where there's the practical hands-on experience that these people get, and by doing it in countries that really need that work, in the developing countries, you're gaining such a social experience by interacting with a different culture, learning about how to get things to work with limited resources that you have, and then those skills and experiences that you have, you can take them back to the Western world, where some of the plant breeders come and actually apply it there. So I feel that we're trying to bring the scientists back to the farmers, to the people that are using our products. If we form a better relationship there, then we'll have a better uptake of the varieties that we develop in the future as plant breeders.
So you have a sense of purpose and contributing goodwill to a higher cause, as well as the opportunity to travel and work with different crops and a number of different organizations or entities that you can work within.
That's right, and for me, it's an amazing experience to go to all these places and see the adventures you can have as a plant breeder. I remember when I first thought about becoming a plant breeder, I wanted to be the Indiana Jones of the plant breeder world. I wanted to go out there and travel and have all these adventures, and you can do it if you have the passion and the drive to get out there and reach for those goals.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for sitting down with me today, Anthony, and sharing your story and where you are with Plant Breeders Without Borders. And we hope to continue to follow your path and see the program evolve.
No worries. Thank you very much.